Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola's last 72 hours. On the fateful morning of April 13, 1995, 92-year-old Chief Odutola was forcibly taken from his residence, Onibudo House, Ijebu-Ode, and transported to the Department of Anatomy at the University of Ibadan by ungrateful, illegitimate children, mostly women, led by Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin. These women, who resided in various distant cities several miles away, made a sudden, coordinated appearance at Chief Odutola's residence. They claimed they had been informed that Chief Odutola was seriously ill, and upon arriving at his residence, they ultimately found him dead, according to Mrs. Oyinade Olurin's written and verbal statements. According to eyewitnesses' accounts, these illegitimate children had convened earlier that morning, along with others, at Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin's clinic, located less than a mile away from Onibudo House, Chief Odutola's residence, before their coordinated appearance at his home. Contrary to Mrs. Oyinade Olurin's claims, witnesses assert that Chief Odutola was alive and was forcibly taken from his home. He was placed into a Peugeot 504 ambulance belonging to Continental Breweries Limited at the instructions of Mrs. Oyinade Olurin and her co-conspirators. Strangely, these women who resided in various distant cities several miles away from Chief Odutola's residence were the only so-called family members that saw his body before they whisked him away in an ambulance. Notably, his devoted wife for 40 years, Mrs. Adeola Odutola, whose residence was just a few meters away, and who had cared for him only hours earlier, never saw his body. Nor did his younger brother, Alhaji Jimo Odutola, who lived directly across the street. Chief Odutola's first son, Mr. Oladipo Odutola, who also resides in Ijebu-Ode, did not see his body before he was whisked away by these women. These illegitimate children's decision to take Chief Odutola's body, if he was indeed dead, to the Department of Anatomy, University of Ibadan, rather than the University College Hospital, where his death should have been certified by a physician, is in itself highly suspicious and shows a clear motive. It's particularly concerning because Chief Odutola was one of Nigeria's wealthiest men at the time. Coincidentally, the same illegitimate children, led by Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, had gathered 3 days earlier at Chief Odutola's residence on April 10th and robbed him in broad daylight. Against his will, they demanded the keys to his 6-foot safe and took gold, jewelries, and all documents related to his businesses, factories, investments, real estate, and landed properties under the guise of safekeeping. The day after the robbery on April 11th, the head of the group, Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, returned to the residence and forcibly took blood samples from Chief Odutola under the false pretense of medical tests. Here's the summary of events. On April 10, 1995, Chief Odutola was robbed of gold, jewelries, and all his estate documents by a group of illegitimate children, mostly women, led by Mrs. Oyinade Olurin. On April 11, 1995, Chief Odutola's blood was forcibly taken against his will by the head of the group, Mrs. Oyinade Olurin. On April 13, 1995, Chief Odutola was forcibly removed from his home and taken not to the University College Hospital for proper death certification, if they indeed found him dead, but to the Department of Anatomy by the same illegitimate children who orchestrated the prior events. There are documents, eyewitness testimonies, perpetrators' own verbal and written statements, audios and photographs that collectively confirm these facts. Yet the perpetrators have continued to evade justice, avoiding prosecution and delaying court proceedings through massive bribes to judges and law enforcement officers. Here's a glimpse into the extent of their judicial bribery. In June 2024, an interim judgment unequivocally declared the perpetrators to be blatant forgers who had illegally assumed the role of directors for 27 years, essentially branding them as criminals. They have also failed to file any substantive defense. Yet, just 9 months later, with a different judge, the same court astonishingly looked the other way, as these very individuals seized the dividends belonging to the shareholders who had sued them for theft. Even more outrageous, these so-called directors made the release of those dividends conditional on the shareholders withdrawing their pending lawsuit. An example of their massive bribery of law enforcement occurred in January 2024. Before the interim judgment against them, a court-ordered arrest warrant was issued against them, but a day before the arrest was to take place, a Deputy Inspector General of Police, head of the Force Criminal Investigation Department in Abuja, Mr. Biodun Alibi, canceled the arrest, despite two different commissioners of police of the Homicide Department at the same FCID, after months of investigation decided that these perpetrators should be arrested for kidnapping, armed robbery, and murder. Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, illegitimate children, Mrs. Modupe Odutola, a wife diabolically forced into Chief Odutola's life, all deeply entrenched in witchcraft, along with total strangers, SPA Ajibade, Professor Akin Mabogunje, and Kehinda Ena launched a calculated theft, selling assets and destroyed Chief Odutola's estate, and waged a relentless campaign of terror and witchcraft against Chief Odutola's biological children, a campaign that has persisted for 3 decades. It has been 30 years since Chief Odutola was murdered. Join me in seeking the long-overdue justice he deserves. Visit justiceforchiefodutola.org for supporting evidence, official court documents, which are, by the way, our public records. Visit to learn about Chief Odutola's remarkable legacy, his contributions, the circumstances of his untimely death, the ongoing court litigation against the perpetrators which they are desperately trying to delay and keep from public view.